I'm very happy to welcome composer Harold Meltzer to the video interviews. Harold is a composer who teaches at Vassar College and co-directs the new music ensemble Sequitur. Last year, his composition Brion was presented by the Cygnus Ensemble at Cutting Edge Concerts New Music Festival 2010. Brion was a finalist in the Pulitzer Prize for Music. And this coming season, the Da Capo Chamber Players are going to present Exiles. I'm very happy to have Harold here with us today to talk about his composition, Exiles.
Exiles is a piece, it's about 10 years old, and I'm happy that it's going to be on the series in juxtaposition with Brion, which was presented last year. The two works share some things in common. First of all, they're both on a disc of mine that Naxos has released in October 2010, in which Brion is the first work and Exiles is the last work. They're written 8 years apart, but they have a number of things in common. One is that they borrow some of the same textures that I discovered for myself in Exiles and exploited later in slightly different ways in Brion. And another thing is that they both exploit pairs of instruments. In Brion, the piece is written for flute, oboe, mandolin, guitar, violin, and cello, and so the three pairs of winds, plucked strings, and bowed strings asserted themselves right away. Exiles is a piece for voice, flute, clarinet, violin, and cello, and throughout the piece I use the violin and the cello as a pair and the flute and the clarinet as a pair in working against and sometimes with the voice. And so they do similar things at similar times. The other thing that the two of them share is that they're both very dark pieces. I don't think most of my output is dark, but these are the two dark pieces. Brion was about a beautiful garden expanse, which was actually a cemetery, but for the tombs you wouldn't know. It's just so peaceful and beautiful. Exile, similarly, is a dark piece because it relates to two poems, both called Exile, both on the subject of exile, by Conrad Aiken and Hart Crane. And the Conrad Aiken is about a man who has been long, I presume a man, who's been long in exile in a parched and dry landscape. And he conjures up all the things that would make life bearable at those in such a place, and then says at the end that he has none of these things. And the Hart Crane is a very different kind of exile. It's cold and wet, in which he still experiences the loss of love and is able to think about it without needing to create something that isn't there. It's a newfound exile. And so these two things are juxtaposed, one against the other, but they're both dark in nature. Exiles was commissioned by Paul Sperry, to whom I am grateful. He gave me my first real commission in this world, which was in, I guess it must have come in 1999, and asked me to find ensembles that would be interested in performing the work with him. And I found three in different cities. Dinosaur Annex Music Ensemble in Boston, which gave the world premiere, and the Da Capo Chamber Players in New York, which played it in two places, at the Knitting Factory, which was not a typical place for Da Capo or for me or for Paul Sperry, and they reprised the work a few days later at Bard College, where they had an ongoing residency. And the third ensemble that did it was the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble in San Francisco. The Da Capo performance was unconducted, as it will be this year, and it's fine for it to be unconducted. Scott Wheeler conducted the Dinosaur Annex performance, and I think I conducted the Left Coast Chamber Ensemble performance in San Francisco.